So gun control laws don't make us safer. That's probably not news to you guys, but it's something we gun owners have to keep reminding people over and over and over again. Our next guest knows that all too well. It's Breitbart's Second Amendment writer, Dr. A.W.R. Hawkins. What's going on, man?
Not a lot. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm nursing a slight headache, but I'll be all right. I think I need some more coffee or something.
Yeah, that's what. Coffee fixes almost everything.
Yeah, pretty much. Along with water and then more coffee. So you wrote a really good piece about Ontario this week, a city with really strict gun control laws. But yet now they're asking for more?
Right. Yeah, they want more because they have one child or youth shot every day. And it's important to understand, just like the left here in America, when researchers in Ontario say child or youth, they mean people. I'm embarrassed to say this. I'm embarrassed for them. They mean people 24 years old and younger. So child or youth probably includes some folks who are married and have kids.
You know what's interesting? I mean, and you know this. I think I don't know if it was Mom. Who was it? Moms Demand Action. I don't know. It was one of those loony groups. They tried to kind of create the same visual with respect to kids being shot here in America, and then the age was like 19 or like 20 and younger, and they were talking about all these kids are dying from gunshots, and they phrase it in such a way where your image in your mind was of little kids being shot.
Right.
When in reality, the vast majority, we're talking about 80% of those kids were like 17 and 18. And the vast majority of those were the kids who were caught up in the inner city gun violence that we're currently dealing with now in places like Southside Chicago.
Right. Or New Orleans or Baltimore.
New Orleans, exactly.
Gangbangers shooting each other.
Pretty much. But yet they call them kids in a way to kind of to create that optic of, oh no, there are little babies literally being shot in the streets every single day.
And I don't want to sidetrack you or keep you on the topic, but I can't ever forget these numbers. I wrote a piece on the CDC's 2010 numbers, and the CDC said that kids, real kids, 10 and under, not gangbangers, not married couples age 23, real kids age 10 and under are 17 times more likely to die by burning to death than by guns. 17. 6 times more likely to die. Oh, no, it's 6 times more likely to die by burning to death. 17 times more likely to die by drowning than by accidental firearm deaths. And those figures coming from the CDC, you know what I'm saying when I say this. They don't have emotion. It's just cold,
it's just straight
hard
facts.
Yeah. You can't argue with that.
Well, they'll try.
Oh, yeah, they'll try.
Yeah, they'll definitely try. And try they do. And unfortunately, people do actually listen to them. And it frustrates me like none other. And you know, actually, I got into like a 30-second Twitter spat with Shannon Watts today. I'm pretty sure you know how that went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it went like mine went with her, then you're blocked.
Nope, I'm not. I'm not blocked.
I can't figure it out.
It's because I'm black.
Yeah. I mean, if it is, that's your advantage because she blocked me, and I can still. I'm not going to give up anything. I can still access her account and stuff, but she doesn't know it. Let's just put it that way. But I guess you have an advantage over me there. She blocked me quick.
Dude, I think I have a bit of a softer heart than most people in some sense when it comes to this issue, or when it comes to giving people the benefit of the doubt. Every time I get a modicum of just an inkling of maybe she really actually does believe what she says or really cares, and it's not just this kind of blind agenda that she's following. She says something that completely undermines it, and I keep trying to give her chances, and she just keeps letting me down. I asked her very nicely. I said, hey, I know that you are for common sense gun measures. You are for the Second Amendment butter. Could you retweet this story about a guy who responsibly and effectively used an AR-15 to defend his family from 3 intruders?
Right.
She called me a ghoul.
Yeah, a ghoul.
A ghoul.
Yeah, they're pro. But they're not what they say. They say they're pro. They say what they want to do is keep guns out of illegal guns. That was
Hmm.
their first argument. Get rid of the. They want to get rid of all guns.
Pretty
They've
much.
shown their colors. They don't just want to stop illicit gun ownership. They want to stop gun ownership. But I'm going to say this. I'm not speaking for you, and I want to be clear because maybe you can have another Twitter deal with it tomorrow. I'm not speaking. I'm not. What I'm saying is I'm not trying to speak for you. I don't think the woman's bright. I think I think if she didn't have a teleprompter and Michael Bloomberg's money, trust me, when the NRA had their event at Nashville, Bob Owens and I snuck down in that crowd.
Uh-huh.
Bob wore his name tag. I took mine off and tried to blend in. This woman was reading a prepared speech, and it sounded like Mel Tillis reading his shopping list for Walmart. I mean, the woman, it was crazy. Just
I will say,
she's not bright. She's not bright.
I will say I can tell that a lot. I really don't believe a lot of her tweets are actually her tweets. It just in a way that she goes about defending them. I will say that much.
Right.
And so, okay, I'll be honest. I gave her a benefit of doubt once. Ever since then, when she let me down, I really haven't.
Right.
Just simply because I realize where she's coming from with respect to this issue, and I've honestly tried to have an honest discussion about firearms and just the gun debate in general with her, and to no avail. She still kind of resorted to these childlike sophomore responses, and at that point I figured, okay, I'm just going to turn on the troll button and just have at it with her.
Right.
But it's
Call
unfortunate.
you a ghoul is kind of weird.
Huh?
To call you a ghoul over an action that looks so obviously intended to defend life, that is very weird.
Well, the interesting thing is they can't acknowledge that blatantly, because by doing so, then it justifies the use of the firearm. And like you and I already said, their overall goal is to get rid of the firearm. Yeah, they cloak it in euphemisms such as common sense gun measures, keeping guns out of the hands of people who shouldn't have them, which is all of America, in their minds. And so what they'll do is, and I posted this too, they'll start off they'll say things like, why would you need it? Like, the chances of you ever needing to use your gun in self-defense is incredibly low. And then I'll
Right.
show them a self-defense situation, and they'll say, well, those are extremely rare. You're making my point. So then I'll show them a whole bunch of them. And they're like, you're celebrating death. Why would you do that? And
Right.
I'm like, there you go. That's essentially what we're dealing with, because when I actually give you evidence that no, there is a plausible chance that me or someone else, because even though it may be 1, 2, 5, 9%, someone has to be that percentage point.
Right.
You know?
Right. And if her arguments were true, if you follow those to the logical end, I'm just saying a lot of things in our country wouldn't exist. And when you were talking, I've never had this thought before, but like catastrophic health insurance, a lot of people buy that
Yeah.
because they don't have anything to fall back on. And if they were to lose their job, that income they become accustomed to would be gone. Now, would she say to everyone who has catastrophic health insurance, the odds of you getting something like Parkinson's or Alzheimer's are so small, you're wasting your money? I'm just saying, it's the same kind of argument.
Yeah.
To mock people for being prepared. That's what I don't understand. That would be like acting like if I have catastrophic health insurance, I'm paranoid. I don't have to be paranoid.
Right.
I just want to be prepared.
And here's the funny thing about that. I think that I like the line for paranoia has gotten so low these days that
Right.
it's almost comical. Because simply having a modicum of preparation nowadays will get you deemed a paranoid schizophrenic, so to speak.
Right. Right.
When in reality, I grew up in a generation where we were taught to try to prepare for the things that we could prepare for, and then hope for the best with things that we can't absolutely control.
Right.
But nowadays, it's kind of like people, like you said, they mock you and they literally laugh at you when you carry a firearm. And
Right.
it's what's interesting is kind of like in the back of my mind, I'm kind of looking at you like you're kind of a moron for that.
Yeah.
In some sense. So it's interesting how that works now, but it all comes. I mean, I understand it because it all goes back to the overall agenda, and the beautiful thing about the way they've kind of crafted or created the way they've kind of massaged this conversation, so to speak, is when I say things like their agenda, it sounds like I'm just a conspiracy theorist. Like I'm attributing some kind of Illuminati doomsday aspect to the anti-gun group organization, where there's some guy muhahaing in the background wanting to take our guns. Actually, there is, and he's probably the guy who's running Mountain Man Action. But from that standpoint, You know, it bothers me, though, that when they will go so far as to vilify the actual action of using a firearm to defend yourself.
Right.
In your own home. We're not talking about out in the streets where, you know, some things could be called into question about the way certain things went down, what happened before the fact. We were talking about somebody who defended his life with a firearm in his home while he was sleeping.
Right. Well, but you know, if you think about it too, the only thing understandable about this to me on her part is to acknowledge the beauty of what this guy did, or the legality or the constitutionality, is to acknowledge that an AR-15 was used for purposes they say it's never used for.
Exactly.
Because he said he pulled up that AR, he took position in that hall, he waited for him to come, which is genius. He funneled him into a tiny area. And that's how you do it. You give yourself the advantage. You're the law-abiding citizen. He took care of business. So they can't praise that. It goes against the template in so many ways.
Yeah, and the funny thing about it is, for a group that says that they're all about the common sense gun measures and are supporters of the Second Amendment, I've never heard them advocate for the Second Amendment. No. Everything out of their mouths, all of their literature, all of their advocacy revolves around the idea of restricting it further. I've never seen them post a self-defense story. I've never seen them say anything that was positive in light about any gun owner in America.
Right.
So,
except for when they defended their use of armed bodyguards, which I did cover a couple of years ago. And that was every town, to be fair, that was every town doing it. But there's no light between every town and Mom's Demand. They're both funded by Mike Bloomberg. So if one of them has armed guards, you can bet the other has armed guards.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to come back and we'll keep talking.